America's News Now, from vaccines for young teens to COVID cases on the decline. Dr. Jen Caudle joins us right now with the latest COVID headlines. Dr. Jen, happy Friday. We made it.
Happy Friday to you, too.
The FDA right now preparing to authorize the Pfizer COVID vaccine for children ages 12 to 15 years old, at least for now. That's what we know. Dr. Jen, many reports show less than a third of parents would actually even give the vaccine to their young teens and children. Is it critical for children to get this right now?
It absolutely is. I mean, honestly, I'm waiting with bated breath for kids of this age to be approved for this vaccine, simply because the more people we have vaccinated, the better and closer we can get to herd immunity. We can get better at protecting our country. This is absolutely crucial. And I would also say, you know, it is sort of disappointing to hear how few parents at this point are considering or open to vaccinating their kids. But I do want to be optimistic about that, in the sense that, you know, I remember last year around this time, we were talking about the vaccine in general. At the beginning of COVID, there were a lot of people reluctant in general, and over time that increased. So what I'm really hoping and banking on, rather, is that as time goes on, parents and adults will become more comfortable with this and get their kids vaccinated. But this is important.
It's kind of like what we're seeing right now. A lot of people did the wait and see approach, because a lot of people, even before the vaccine right now, a lot of adults were doing the wait and see approach. Then we saw more and more people sort of warm up to it when they saw their friends or their coworkers getting it. And Speaking of children, summer's right around the corner. What do you expect summer camps to look like for children right now? Because, you know, they gotta let off some steam after this past year.
Well, don't we all? Let me tell you, I'm like, where's the summer camp for adults? Right. Sign me up for that. But you're absolutely right. That I think the good thing about what you're talking about is you're even asking about summer camps, which is a far cry from last year this time, right? Summer camps were canceled last year. This tells you how far we have come, that summer camps are even sort of on the books, on the docket to happen, hopefully this summer. So that is the good news. What I would say to parents is that it looks like the CDC is still requiring some restrictions to be in place, 3 to 6 feet distance, depending on the circumstance and the child, mask wearing in certain situations, et cetera, perhaps some testing for COVID, vaccination status, all that kind of stuff. What I would recommend to parents is that obviously that you understand the rules and requirements of the camp that you may be interested in for your child. But once again, going back to your first question, when this vaccine for younger people becomes available, you get your child vaccinated if they fall into that category, especially before attending camp. That's going to keep them even safer. And of course, the other thing I would say finally is just making sure that you're taking into consideration the individual risk of your child. You know, these are always individual decisions, right? Even though the CDC and other, cities are opening up, that doesn't mean you have to do it. Talk with your doctor, make sure you are doing the right thing for your child.
Absolutely. It's all about personal choice. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio is now creating these mobile vaccination sites for tourists to receive the Johnson & Johnson vaccine when they come to New York City. What's your take on this?
I bring it on. I say anything we can do to vaccinate people. If we need a mobile bus, a mobile van, I mean, whatever it is, if that helps people get vaccinated, I am all for it. And I have to say, you know, in the last week or so, we have seen the Biden administration really make statements about moving away from the mass vaccination sites for COVID to these sort of, I guess, more intimate sort of community-driven vaccinations. The Biden administration plans to send vaccines to individual doctors' office, to community centers, things like that. That, I think, is a good approach. Because I'll be honest with you, I think some people, the idea of a mass vaccination site, the long waits, the long lines, it could be intimidating, et cetera, could have actually been a turn in and of itself. But maybe
very quickly, I want to ask you about this piece that you wrote about people going back into society following this year of seclusion. And it's not lost on me that there are a lot of people who actually probably have some anxiety, you know, as the world starts to reopen. What are you hearing about this from your patients? How has the pandemic impacted the mental health as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can certainly raise my hand when I talk about reentry anxiety. We've been hunkering down for over a year. This idea of coming back out can be very nerve-wracking. We've been living almost in a state of trauma. Number one, going out, we don't want to get sick. Also, going out is a change of this routine that we've finally developed. So there are a few things people can do. I always say start slow. Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to run around your city in a day either. Just pick one activity to do that's safe based on CDC guidelines. I would also say talk to other people that you can relate to about this, meditation, mindfulness can be very helpful. And I always say, look, if you're really, really struggling with getting out of your shell and kind of coming back into society, talk to your doctor. We can help you.
Yeah, and some people probably have enjoyed this moment of sort of calmness.
Yes.
You know, you don't have FOMO,
Yeah.
you don't have fear of missing
That's
out on
right.
anything. And I think for
That's
some
right.
people, they strived during this time, right? And they kind of want to
right.
hold on to it a little bit longer. All right, Dr. Jen, thanks so much for joining us here on this Friday. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.